other installations are much more womb-like. You can be on the floor, it would be covered, ceiling to floor with the substance. You'd be sitting on these beanbag chairs inside, just kind of being in the space. But we couldn't really do that in such a high traffic area, so we decided to put it on the walls.
Good choice. So then, did you actually have a scale model?
I knew the rough measurements of the hallway, but I decided to pretty much build it on site because I wanted to make sure that when you rounded the corner, you couldn't see it from certain angles. And having only been here one day, it was a little difficult to know exactly where that was. And I knew that it's easier for me to work kind of like working through it and almost going along as it comes before me. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
So if you were doing this octopoid, does that mean that you had that knowledge?
Yes.
This,
yeah, so
shade all that?
you can see this, so this octopi, hexapie actually, it was something that I built in my studio in New York. And so these are actually crocheted blankets that I did not crochet. I do crochet, but these are things that I found in like thrift stores, or a lot of people give things to me to say, why don't you use this? So I built this on site, kind of left it rough. I worked on this portion, and then I kind of put it together with the pieces. Same with this piece in the corner here, was something that was built in my studio, as well as these beanbag chairs. So this portion with these kind of more sculptural pieces were built a little bit off-site. Yes?
I'm intrigued by your use of wildlife. Flowers, animals, birds, you name it. And you incorporated the meaning things into the meaning things. Speak a little about that.
Oh, yeah. So animals, I use a lot of animals in my work. First of all, a big part of what I like to get across is I want my work to be accessible to everyone of all ages, and animals are so inviting. I love animals. I think everybody does, and to kind of, you could take it on many levels. There's some people could call them spirit animals, or guides, or just something that breaks that barrier and just kind of lets you feel like a kid a little bit, which is what I want people to feel, and just experience something just in a, hey, in a friendly type of way. So that's the animal. They're all friendly animals, no scary animals.
You said there were hidden messages throughout. You said you would point those out, but could you give an idea of how many there are?
Okay, I'd say 6 or 7 hidden messages. I will be adding a few more today if they let me. And yeah, some of them you'll be able to find. Some of them you probably won't be able to find. A lot of times there are things hidden inside my pieces that you definitely won't be able to find, but those I'm not counting. Yeah, so yes.
So at the beginning there is a house cat on the top, and at the end there's a tiger. So did the house cat transform into a tiger?
Yes, that's the growth. Yeah.
It also has a tiger print.
Yes, it does. Yeah, a little tiger. These are from a Siegfried and Roy T-shirt. Siegfried and Roy sweatshirt that I took apart and put back together again. Anything else? Hi.
Hi. Could you talk a little bit about why, as an artist, you like to focus on making people feel like a kid again?
I went to art school a long time ago, and I decided pretty much immediately that I did not want to make fine art. I just felt it was all very critical. I felt like I wasn't serious enough. I felt like it was a pretty hard time for me, and so I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And I realized as I grew older that this is really what I'm all about, and that I finally had, in a way, the courage to kind of say, no, this is what I enjoy, and this is what I think is important. Whereas before, I think I didn't have the confidence to say, no, it's important to laugh and enjoy something in a really easy way, and, you know. Did that answer your question? Okay, good. So.
Can you talk about your family and how they're involved in your art making?
Well, I have 2 kids, and they helped crochet a lot of these pieces. As you can see, here's a learning curve of my daughter's first project, and they certainly love to be around everything all the time and get into it. And when I first started so after kind of deciding I wasn't going to do fine art, I started making stuffed animals for my kids' friends, and they became so popular. People kept giving me their important clothing pieces, and I started making these custom creatures from these important fabrics from their life. And so when I decided to show at the Wasaig Project, it was my first time of kind of bridging this gap between my old fine art self and this crafting kind of world, and to put the energy into it, you know. So that's, I guess, how that ties in.
And how did the residency transform you? What is it about the Mosaic Project that's been so helpful?
The Wasaig Project, I pretty much can thank entirely for everything. Sure. The Wasaig Project is an artist residency 2 hours north of New York City, and when I met them, they were a very young organization, and they have a summer show every year. And a good friend of mine became one of the co-directors, and I asked him if I could please put a few pieces in the show, and he let me, just out of kindness. I had nothing to show him, and after that show, I basically was the highest selling artist at the show. So I put in a proposal the next year to do an entire forest installation. And through that, I met so many great people. I got a gallery in New York City to represent me, and it all went really fast and furious. So I've only been doing this now since the summer of 2010. So, yes. Oh, it's WASSAIC. Did you have another question?
You're not supposed to touch art, but it's very, very hard, especially for young people, to reach out and feel.
Right.
Everything in the system touch it.
It does, and we went back and forth a lot about that as well. I was going to incorporate a sitting area that was all beanbag chairs in here, and I do want people to touch it I don't know if they're allowing them to touch it. They're not, but I just, it says touch, I know, and that was something that I was battling with, because I wanted people to, but then I've also been in situations when younger kids, it's just sticky and just climbing, and but so I personally feel like the inside of the tunnel can be touched, and then when we come out to these more delicate parts, it's but I guess
I'm just saying.
yeah,
I'm an old lady. Yes,
yeah. I'll let you know. Yes.
What are your basic art tools that you work with?
So I crochet hooks. I work a lot with a staple gun, actually. And in my one thing that I learned that it really didn't work in this installation, for my other tunnel things, I use what you call like a price tagging gun. So you just use it almost like a staple gun, and it just sews things together really, really quickly, even if you want to hold something in place. And I was taught that trick by this amazing woman who makes costumes for Mardi Gras parades in West Indies. So she was amazing. And other than that, just, regular sewing materials, but staple gun really, with the structure underneath, I found it's the strongest. Let's see. Yes.
When this all comes down, does it go up in another tunnel somewhere, or is it all deconstructed and reconstructed someplace else?
We're talking about that. I'm trying to find a place to show on the East Coast because so many of my friends and family, they couldn't make it out here to come see this, and so I'm talking to a few galleries. If nothing else, I will show it at the Wasaic Project Summer Festival in Wasaic, New York. But hopefully it can travel to other places and it definitely can be re-erected in other places, so yes.
I'm noticing how the light activates the whole piece. And you place the lights in some selected places. It's quite fascinating.
So how do you choose? I mean, could you give us an example, some of the placements of light and why you chose that?
Okay, so on the inside of the tunnel, you can see there's a light source going on the bottom, going up, and just to kind of show, it's kind of starting bright, but then it just kind of flows a little, it kind of dissipates a bit. In other tunnels, I would do spotlights up high, but I wanted to make sure there was a darkness on top to see the space light up here. And then the same thing, there's light behind this little piece here that kind of is again showing this macro-micro unifying thing. And other than the snake is, these pieces, I wanted to bring some of the sculptural pieces to have their own individual light, just to kind of highlight them on the outside, because I knew in this space you wouldn't be able to see as much of the light coming out as, to be highlighted on more externally. Yes?
How are the lights activated?
So they are really, they're LED lights. They're all plug-in lights with a very, very low wattage. So that's one thing that I also find is interesting is the technology now these days. You can do something it's not a fire hazard. It's like you basically can't even, you can touch the connection and there's nothing. It's just such a low electrical. So it's all kind of got this snakiness of the electricity running behind there.
And how's that exactly?
There is there's a light socket behind there. I know.
Tell us about the fire retardant.
Yeah. Do you want to know? So because we chose to do this in basically the entrance to the show, the fire marshal was very concerned about the aspect of the light. Even though we explained that it was very, very, safe, we had to, when I came to install in August, I basically lost a day and a half, 2 days, because we had to fireproof everything on site according to the fire marshal. So we had to take everything out to a warehouse and spray it all down, and it made it not so fun to work with, but now it's completely, indestructible fireproof. Yes.
So who paid for that?
Crystal Bridges. Yeah. They did. And again, everyone came out. I was just so impressed with the family feeling of this place. Everybody came out in all departments and kind of chipped in, and I just had a great time when I was here, even though I was really stressed about that. Okay, in the back. Yeah.
How has this affected you just in these few weeks that you've been part of this display? How has it affected your, how well known you are getting everything?
Well, I definitely, I got a little write-up on Art Forum, which was amazing. affected me. It's funny because I kind of have been working on this project so intensely basically for a year. And so I've kind of taken a break. I was very much looking forward to coming back and seeing it again. And I don't know if any of you work on projects for many hours, you kind of get to this point and it all kind of blurs together. You're like, is it good? Isn't it good? You know, and then it was great to take the steps away, come back, and I said, okay, it's okay. So it's, I've met some great people, and yeah, it's been really fun meeting the community around here, and so, yes.
Well, obviously it was well received.
Well, thank you. I hope so. Thank you. Yes?
I'm wondering, and I've noticed a number of contemporary artists are doing things where it has to be broken down and reinstalled in the location. And I'm wondering how that feels different from, say, doing a painting that can be boxed up and shipped, that you don't have to recreate the work of art every time.
Right.
How does that feel to have to do that?
Well, I really enjoy working with it, so I'm hoping that, you know, part of the reason I'd like to pursue these things is I love going to new places and meeting people. So for me right now, I look forward to it. But I definitely have art, like pieces that are kind of done and they move on their own. So this is just one of the types of projects I do. So this is the second piece that will be, you know, completed and re-erected, hopefully. But I do a lot of other work with smaller light boxes and kind of almost like these kind of detail pieces that kind of have, you know, a life on their own away from something like this. Yes.
So you're going to deconstruct this and move it to another spot. Will it look something different than the house?
Probably, because I think it's a site-specific installation. If the hallway is different, you know, I've learned a few things on this because it was the first time I've done it. I'll probably improve upon a few things, and it will be probably called It's You Too if it goes up again. And so, yeah. Anything else?
Is it unusual in your experience to have the opportunity to interact with this variety of other artists in the same space? And if so, what influence has that?
Well, when I came, did it influence, can you explain further to be with the other artists in the show?
Does their input and those discussions kind of influence your work, and you see yours going the other?
I see, after this piece, I definitely see the influence. When I installed, basically, a lot of it wasn't really up yet, and I didn't really know who else was in the show. I definitely was influenced by the architecture here. I felt I wanted this space to interact with the window, and I knew about Jamie. Is that Jamie's piece? I thought he'd be right there. I knew that he was going to, so I was thinking, how do I frame the windows so that I can, you know, give, you know, honor his piece as well, because so many of my pieces are about windows into another world. But yeah, I felt mostly influenced by the architecture. Yes.
Do you ever sit incognito and watch people enjoy it?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
I like to sit around the corner and I get to watch people come there and just, you know, I hope you get some of that yourself.
I do it in small doses because I'm terrified of hearing something terrible. So I do it a little bit, and then, you know, a lot of times I'll introduce myself because it's just fun to meet people one-on-one. Okay. Oh, no.
I am wondering, I just have a perception about the pussycat versus, and it seems to me it's a reflection of your journey, the domesticated cat who might have been in your art school.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
And untamed, you've come out untamed.
absolutely. It's about the journey and the growth of life. Absolutely. Yeah, it's about how everything's always evolving and changing, how you never really know what's ahead of you, and you would never guess what your journey would be. And you start looking, and I'm in the middle of mine, I think, and I'm looking back around and going, wow, this isn't what I expected. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In this group right here, what was the very first thing, number one in this group, like the first piece that you did?
First piece that I did, it was this, the branch with the Saturn up there. Yeah.
Which is the last that you put up?
Yeah. Oh, which is the last I put up?
Well, which one's the last that you did?
That I did. These guys, I think it was this, the wolf and the deer, and it says, you are the universe in ecstatic motion.
Is that a hidden message?
Is it a hit you over the head? So.
You said you did lots of other types of works that are on their own, but yet this was the first you've done of crocheting. So what are your other works made of?
Well, I've used crochet pieces, crocheted Afghans, as accent. So this is the first time I've used primarily crochet with accents of other things. My last show, one of the focal points is I've been working with 70s latch hook rugs. Do you remember those? So I take them apart. I buy completed ones. I take them apart and incorporate text and kind of make text pieces out of them. And the other thing I do, which is kind of kooky, is I weave LED lights within them. So they are battery-powered lights that say the eyes illuminate and things like that. So I've been working with those, and then a lot more now, this cross-stitch. And I'll take beading and things like that and kind of making these little dioramas.
Has the yarn bombing movement inspired you? Yes and no. I definitely, it's funny because I live in Brooklyn and that's a lot of that's going on there. My assistant worked with Olek, one of the big yarn bombing ladies. And, but I felt, where they're coming from is definitely something a little different. I mean, people always ask me that. I really felt this came from a different place. And to me, it's just the material I'm using right now rather than anything. I don't know if that makes sense. Probably wouldn't care if anything was fire.
Probably not. Yeah. Oh, it's a form of street art that's happening quite a bit, and Jeremy over here knows a bit about it. And they take things. I don't know if you've seen bicycles covered in yarn, and in New York they do things like they incorporate them into chain link fence, large text pieces, and it's like a graffiti street art thing. Yeah, that's become pretty. In fact, a street artist. Oh gosh, what's her name? Sway? What's her name that just had, never mind, I'm not going to say it, because she just had a show at Brooklyn Museum and I'm forgetting her name, but no, oh, well, I'll remember it in a minute. Oops, sorry. So, I hope you guys enjoy it, and